moving on. Great. So it all sort of started in January, or I guess not really, because back in January I had no idea I would end up doing GoPlugable as it is today. January was the Catalyst co-founder Tall House event. Some of you that may be watching this now or watching this after will have applied to co-founders. I know some of you have reached out to me directly to ask me about my experience throughout the program. And really, I didn't recommend it enough. That's how GoPlugable began, where we formed our team, how we validated our idea, did our initial market discovery, and built it from there. So it is quite a very close event to us, and Catalyst are a great network of support as well. So would highly recommend. Then going into February, when we decided that GoPlugable was what we were going to take forward in co-founders, we solidified our very lean team, and we began applying to anything that would give us funding and help us get our name out there and really start building the thing. So we applied to QB Dragon's Den. Actually, applications are open right now for QB Dragon's Den. So if you are a startup owner, you have a great idea, you have a bit of research behind you, it doesn't really matter what stage you're at, as long as you have an idea and something to validate it with, you can apply if you're a Queen's student. So I would definitely recommend that. That was our first lot of funding that we got. We won 10k through Dragon's Den, and we were absolutely over the moon because that helped us build our prototype essentially. Going into March, we did our first sort of market research or validation. We had some sort of surveys that we shared before this point, but this is when we really started focusing on getting into the grips of, is this what's really needed in the market? And part of that was seeing what industry thought of our idea as well. So we attended the SEAI Energy Show in the RDS in Dublin in March, and that was brilliant to get to see what other innovations are out there, what's in store for the future of electrification in Ireland. And it was the first of many conferences that we showed our face in, so it was a great start. Going into April then, we had built our prototype. We did that on Figma with the help of our tech team. We won Dragon's Den, which was amazing. It was such a great program with lots of mentoring support, whether it be from legal, accounting, finance, and the team at SU Enterprise are fabulous. If you have a burning question, they are there on hand to answer it or find someone who can answer it for you. So really recommend. And we also were notified that we got through the semi-final of Invent after pitching, I think, twice at that point. So that was really exciting. Going into May then, I had my final exams. I started GoPlugable in the midst of my final year of my Masters in Mechanical Engineering. So as you can imagine, it was quite a lot to juggle at the time. And frankly, I became a bit obsessed with GoPlugable. And to truth be told, I hope none of my lecturers are watching this, but uni started to take a bit of a back burner scenario at this point. But yeah, I think when you're really passionate about something, it kind of always takes forefront in your priorities and what you want to pursue. So for me, GoPlugable was something that was exciting and new, so I just went head first into it. Then in May as well, we were selected as a finalist for the FIA startup competition, which was a really exciting moment to be recognised on an international front, and then also invited to pitch at Vienna Up 23. June, we got the High Achieving Merit Award at the Student Entrepreneur Awards. That was the end of co-founders, and we were awarded the 10k proof of concept grant from Techstart, which again was a massive help in our funding journey. We were also a finalist in the Belfast Business Idea Award, and the Quest programme from Queen's, Cubis and SU Enterprise had begun. At this point, it was full steam into trying to get more funding through grants, competitions, accelerator programs. And if you are a startup at the minute looking for grants, competitions, accelerator programs that will help you on your funding journey, it might be worth taking a note of some of the opportunities we have availed of so far and mark it in your calendar for the next round of applications. July, I graduated, which was great to know that uni was behind me and I could again focus on GoPlugable fully. Yeah, it was a really, really great day. I did 5 year long course with a placement year included, so that was yeah, it felt like a long time, but I really had a really great time in Queens, and it was great to graduate. We also launched our All Ireland survey and had some good PR coverage in July as well. August, we pitched for an event final, nominated for 2 All Ireland Sustainability Awards. In September, we filmed the promo video that you saw at the start. It was a beautiful day. We got good weather. I'm not sure whether that's great filming weather, but regardless, it was great to have a promo video that we can easily be able to share and show what it is that GoPlugable does. We had one event as well in September, which was a massive milestone for us and gave us a lot of brand coverage. And we again are over the moon and very, very grateful to Catalyst for their support throughout the programme. Almost there. In October, we ran some user trials. Thank you again to anyone who's watching this that were part of that journey in October. We really appreciate it, and it was such a pivotal step to where we are now to actually be able to launch a beta version of our platform. We pitched the FIA Motor Club reps in Vienna, which was an amazing experience. In November, I had a very small part to play during the US trade delegation. I spoke at the closing event in Great Hall in Queens, which was amazing. And it's so great to see how eager the US trade community are to invest in Northern Ireland talent and tech. So it was really, really great to have the opportunity for that. We also had the EV Summit in Dublin in November and won the Impact Shakers Urban Impact Pitch. And then finally, December, it was a busy month as well. We had the London EV Show, we had the Santander X Awards, to which we got the semi-finals, and we also launched our app 2 days ago. We anticipate it might be pretty buggy at this point. We know. Please, if you have given it a go, reach out to us and let us know if you have any feedback, any bugs, any difficulties trying to access or use the platform. We're open to any and all feedback, and we're very, very grateful for it. So please reach out. We hope by January it should be pretty polished and be able to have a buzzing community of people who are charging and hosting their chargers. So looking forward to the new year. And then just on that, on the beta release, if my slides work, here we go. So how it's looking so far is that we initially had 300 people on our online waitlist to use the platform. 60% of these are actually from the host side of things. That might be surprising to some people because the hosts are kind of the backbone for the whole platform. The hosts are the ones that, the whole platform is available because of. So we are really grateful for their support. And now that the beta has been live for about 48 hours, we have close to 100 downloads. So we're over the moon with that again and looking forward to further traction and development in the new year. So I think that's all from going through the journey, going through where we're at now. I think at this point, it's probably good to answer some questions. Feel free again to drop them in the chat if you have any burning questions. I'm more than happy to answer. Anything about GoPlugable, the journey, challenges, good moments, whatever. But we do have some questions banked at the minutes from during the week when we had originally made this announcement about the town hall. So we're going to go through some of those.
Yeah. Before we get to Q&A from the audience, guys, like I said, if you have any questions, please do leave them on the chat. We'll take up those questions here live as we go. We did ask people on Twitter and Instagram about, if you have any questions, leave them here. We're going to take some of those questions. But before we get into that, I have a few questions for you, Maebh.
Yeah.
So you've been at this for a while now, right? I mean, you just passed uni. Now, despite you doing all these things, I think one of the most common questions, again, I don't know if you get a lot of these, but do you actually drive an EV? I mean, that's the first question. How does that put things in perspective for you when you work on Plugable?
Yeah, I mean, I always get asked, do I drive an EV? And it's a great question because, first of all, I don't drive an EV. I'm a student fresh out of, well, I'm a graduate fresh out of uni. I work for a startup. As you can imagine, it'd be pretty difficult for me financially to buy an EV right now. Though I'm really looking forward to a buzzing second-hand market that's emerging at the minute. There's also some really great platforms out there, such as DC EV, that allow you to have a go at driving an EV on a subscription-based type of service, and also some leasing services from the likes of companies like Weave. I currently live in an apartment myself as well, so once GoPlugable is up and running, that's a big catalyst for me to start actually going to get an EV. But I'm really looking forward to it. I love EVs and I love the space, but I unfortunately don't drive an EV yet.
Okay, yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Now you've had quite a career out there. I mean, you started off probably waitressing early days, and then went into product engineering, worked for a big company in Denmark, and now you're the CEO. I mean, how are you finding this? I mean, is this something you ever thought when you went into college? Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be CEO of my own company. Is that something you saw for yourself doing?
Yeah, I think first of all, CEO is one of those titles that, like, it's planted everywhere and on our marketing, whatever. And every time I see it, I'm like, oh, it just feels strange. I think it has that like connotation, and you have this sort of imposter syndrome. And of course, we are very new and have only released a product, so yeah, I'm more looking forward to what's ahead. But yeah, in terms of the question, when we started this out, I had no idea that it would grow this quick, and that I would be so quickly going full time with it. And frankly, during uni, I had no idea that I would ever pursue my own business. I just think I found something that I found really, really interesting and was passionate about, and I thought, why not just give it a shot? I think going fresh out of uni, you have a lot of time, a lot of energy to pursue something like this, and there's so much opportunity, so why not?
Nice. All right, so I have more questions to you, but we'll come to that. We also want to show people a bit of our app, right? I mean, in terms of the beta app as well. But we also can take a few questions. I mean, we have a few questions here from.
Let's go.
So if you go to chat there, you can see there are a few questions that come from Martin, Simon, and Danielle. Let's start with Simon, maybe.
Yeah.
So Simon here is asking us, I'll put that question for everyone to see. Can you please talk about insurance for hosts and users? I think very important question for the business model you're in.
For sure. I mean, a lot of people are excited to use GoPlugable, though understandably so. There's a lot of people with questions and hesitations. I think it's a very new model and a very new space that requires using infrastructure from your neighbours. So questions about insurance and liability are obviously very, very important, and something that we want to be very clear on. So at the minute, on our pilot, essentially, we have made it clear in our T's and C's that the liability is between the parties that use the application. We don't take any liability for anything that will happen, though we have a few mechanisms within the app to try and protect people that use it. So we have the user verification feature. We will also have user rating to encourage good practice. We have T's and C's as well. Though going forward, we really do want to have insurance that we can have for coverage for the people that are offering out their charger. That will just come with a bit of extra traction, development, and of course fundraising as well, as it's not something we can just have on our platform overnight. But if anyone there is in that space or can give advice on that, or has any interesting thoughts, please reach out. But yeah, it's something that we are very focused on implementing in future versions.
Super. All right, I hope that answers the question there, Simon. We have more questions coming for you. Let's take something a bit more about the new year. Daniel here is asking, what are you and the team most excited about in 2024?
I think the most exciting part, like, we've left 2023 at a big high. We had been building this product for 9 months, and coincidentally enough, it feels like we have just given birth like to this platform. And it's like an anxious time, but at the same time, it's very, very exciting. So I think I'm most excited even just for getting into the new year and seeing initial traction. being able to work on any bugs and feedback and getting the platform to, as close to perfect as it can be. I think startup founders are big perfectionists sometimes, and it can hold you back. But now that we have that initial feedback, we can really drive forward and develop, and looking forward to some potential partnerships as well.
Super. On partnerships, we have more questions on partnerships there. We'll come to that in a bit. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to a preview of the beta app for all of you to see that, and we'll take more questions, folks. So, if you have any questions, please leave them on the chat option there. So let's have a quick look at how the beta app works. If you're someone who's looking to charge, again, huge shout out to NIB Sky folks, Gavin and team who's put this video together for us.
Welcome to the GoPlugable community. If you're new to our platform as a chargee, let's walk you through your first charging experience. Firstly, download the GoPlugable app from your preferred app store and choose the chargee role. Second, complete your profile by adding your vehicle details, payment information, and necessary documentation. This will enable you to start making bookings. With the app, you can find host chargers near you, mark your favourite hosts, and get detailed information on how to arrive or park at the host's location. You'll also see any minimum charges or parking fees that may apply. Third, time to find a host in your area. Enter the duration, date, and area where you need a charger. A map will display available hosts, complete with pricing, charger type, and parking details. For privacy reasons, the full location or address of the host is only revealed after your booking is confirmed. Once you've picked your ideal host venue, hit Book Now and await the host's confirmation. You can also pre-book regular slots and communicate with your host directly through the app. Next step is to start your session. Once you're at the host's location, open your booking in the app. Take a photo of your current battery level for verification. Plug in your car, ensure it's charging, and tap Start Session. And last step, when you're ready to conclude, enter your car's final charge percentage and confirm. The app will then calculate the final pricing details for you. Thank you for choosing GoPlugable.
All right, that was something there. I think there are more videos coming on in terms of how to be a host as well, but that's next. Folks, like I said, if you've just joined, this is the GoPlugable Christmas Town Hall. We have Maebh Reynolds, the co-founder and CEO with us. So we are grilling Maebh here with questions. So folks, if you have any questions, please drop them on chat there. I had a few questions which kind of got interrupted. And we were speaking about career transition, but we have someone here who also wants to ask a question. This is Hannah from Team Catalyst. So let's hear it.
Hi Maeve, I am really excited to see the launch of the app today. Now I know you have been vocal about sharing how the Co-Founders Programme, which is the programme I have the pleasure of managing, was quite pivotal to the formation of GoPlugable and the team behind that. What advice would you give to anybody on the call here around how to find co-founders, how to navigate that relationship and develop that in such a way as to get to the point that you and your co-founder are at today?
Okay. All right. So Hannah there from co-founders team, I think you worked a lot with them. In fact, you met your co-founder. I think this journey started for you with Catalyst. And I know they have a new cohort that's live right now. So I'm guessing a lot of people who might be listening to us, joining this call on Twitter or LinkedIn or Instagram are folks who might be part of that cohort. So go on, answer what Hannah had to say.
For sure. So I think in terms of co-founders, initially it's such a great sandbox to be able to play around with being an entrepreneur, being a startup founder, and really finding your feet to figure out if that's for you. The way it works for people that aren't aren't familiar with it, is that you go in either with an idea or a skill, and you basically go through a few matchmaking type exercises and icebreakers to try and find what you need to build your team. Myself, I came in with sort of skills within the engineering space. I expected to maybe end up in a space where it was more hardware orientated, as that's what I studied and did over placement. But I really fell in love with the concept of GoPlugable as we developed it, and I knew that was the team for me. So I think in terms of choosing your team members, there should be a very clear vision that you both are really passionate about the idea. It's important to find someone that complements you as well, but also challenges you. There's no point having two founders that are, twins of each other and have the exact same characteristics and way of working and thoughts and ideas. You need someone that's going to turn around and go, let's go back to the drawing board, or let's work on this a bit more. It's good to find, people that are have the same sort of work ethic and focus and passion for what you're doing, but very different skills in the way that they show that. So for example, if you're more introverted and you don't really like public speaking or pitching, if you find someone who is more, better in that public presentation front, that is a great asset to have to balance your team out. So that's the advice that I would give, and best luck to the cohort going forward in the new year. I'm sure we'll get to catch up at some point.
Nice. All right. Okay. So we have more questions for you, Maebh. But before that, there's few interesting ones there on chat, which I think you should take. First one, obviously from Jason there, who is putting an observation that we'll put that here. Once the app and user host are connected, is there not a risk of them cutting you out of the process for future bookings?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a risk with any marketplace platform. The same even goes for, I'm a big Depop and Vinted fan. I love selling clothes and buying clothes secondhand online. And there's even, a risk on those platforms where people will go outside of that app and say, look, here's my payment details, or here's my PayPal, just pay me directly through that. And then the app doesn't take commission. That is a risk for GoPlugable. But there are a few things that we have did to sort of be able to make sure that we're secure within the charging ecosystem. And also the fact that I think that when it comes to face-to-face interaction, and neighbours especially, and it might just be a UK Irish thing, but people are a bit funny about, cash in hand exchanges for helping out their neighbour and so on. And I think the online transaction element and the seamlessness of pre-booking or prepaying is much easier for people to navigate. There's no negotiation there. It's just you either put in a request or you don't, or you accept and you don't. And it takes out a lot of the ambiguity or a lot of the back and forth that can be a little bit awkward. Also within the platform, we hope to have some B2B hosts as well, maybe a year down the line, so you'll be able to get a full sort of package of different charging options. And that will make sure that our users love our platform and continuously come back to us because of the holistic approach that we're going for. But thank you for your question, Jason.
Super. All right. So we also have Martin here, who has actually put a couple of questions there. First being around partnerships with the likes of needtocharge.com. Martin, yes, that is something we are exploring in terms of partnership with our other apps. But something what we'll do is we'll combine a couple of questions here from Martin. So one of the questions he has is, if you're looking for investors, how will you establish companies such as, basically how will we compete with the likes of ZapMap or other players? And the next question is around peer-to-peer lenders such as Finance and Grid Finance. Again, these are potential partners. We are still really early stages, but next year, that is, I think, one of the key things in terms of pursuing partnership. And one other question we've had here is around people gaming the system. I think you might want to explain about the calculation bit here, how we take both calculations from the car battery and the charger.
Yeah, so if I just go through in order, the first question being about how we compete with different apps that are within the EV charging space. So for the likes of ZapMaps, it's important that there are a few key players within the EV charging space. So you have your CPOs and your MSPs, your CPOs being the charge point operators, where the physical chargers are, and they manage the hardware themselves. The MSPs being your likes of ZapMap, where you'll be able to see available chargers on a public network. Our network is only our domestic hosts, only on our platform. So these won't be shared publicly with the likes of ZapMap and so on. ZapMap will show typically public chargers that you can just drive up to and charge on the go, such as your destination charging or your route charging. Domestic charging has a lot of benefits that the likes of ZapMaps can't bring, is that you can schedule in advance. So there's no more queuing at a public charger or rerouting your journey to a public charger and realizing it's broken or being used. And also domestic electricity from a charging perspective is a lot cheaper than charging publicly, although the speeds are much slower. But if you're charging overnight or while you're at work or when you don't need your vehicle, that's when the benefit of GoPlugable really comes in. So that's how we differ from the likes of those platforms. In terms of gaming the system, we have two different calculations at this point in time with our current version to decide pricing. So the first one, is, as you mentioned, is the taking the image of the car battery before and after the charge. And we also have that when you make the booking, you have specified how long you're charging for. So if it's like for 5 hours, based on the rate that the host has given, we calculate from that as well. And just to put our hosts first and make sure that no one is, potentially cheating them out of them offering the service, we take the higher amount and bill that. So people might try to game the system. It's not completely airtight in a beta stage, but with the 2 calculation points, we hope that it will air out any of these difficulties or risks.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of that will also change once you have hardware integration enabled, because then the software will be able to talk to the hardware, isn't it?
Absolutely. So we have did some research and development into hardware integration. So really that means that our software will be able to communicate directly with any smart charger that's within the home. So then you will be able to get automated stop and start of the charger, be able to get analytics of exactly how much electricity is being used. But we hope this version will come later on this year after a successful fundraising round that we need to propel it forward.
Super. All right, so folks, we have almost 30 people that we can see here who are live with us. Thank you for taking time. I know it's holiday season, so guys, really, you made our day. More than 30 people logged in on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Facebook as well. We shouldn't forget
everywhere.
Facebook. We're everywhere.
People's timelines.
Yeah. All right. So if you've just joined us, you're sitting in the hot seat with Maebh Reynolds, who's the CEO and co-founder of GoPlugable, Airbnb-like marketplace for private EV charging. So this is time to grill her, ask questions. So if you have any questions, please drop them on the comments or questions section there, or as replies. We'll bring them here. All right. So taking a segue from conversations on comparison and raising funds, you've had an interesting run there. You've raised almost 150K just through winning grants and competition. I mean, that is not something you see every day, right? I mean, was that plain luck, or did you begin the journey by saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to raise 150,000 by just winning, these competitions"? What was the strategy there?
So to set the scene, for people that aren't familiar with the startup space, usually if you want to take forward a startup business, what typically would have happened when there wasn't such a great ecosystem of support was that it was the cash in your back pocket that essentially drove your idea forward, especially in a pre-revenue stage where you're trying to get tech work done and you're not having money coming in. So it was usually your savings or friends and family that would help you fund it. For us, we saw so many grants, competitions, accelerator programs out there that we could go for, and it didn't require any equity to give up. And we thought, why not just throw our name in every single application we're eligible for and just give it a go? And I think, there's pros and cons to taking that strategy. The major pro is that you're able to retain all the ownership of your company rather than fundraising immediately through the likes of crowdfunding or going straight to angels. It is extremely time consuming, as you can imagine. It takes a lot of work, a lot of practice. There's a lot of work behind the scenes. I don't know how many different pitch decks I've made over the last year. But I think the work pays off because it makes sure that you are, you know your stuff. You're able to represent your business in the best way possible. And when you do eventually do go into fundraising, which we're in that stage at the moment, trying to raise £750 through either VCs or an angel route. When you go down that, you will be grilled. So it's great to have went through so many different avenues where we've sat in front of a panel of judges at pitch competitions and had that same sort of practice of being grilled. So yeah, I think it's paid off.
Nice. So, guys, folks, if you've just joined us, GoPlugable is actually fundraising currently. We're raising 750K in terms of convertible loan or equity-based funding. Do get in touch with me. I think you are quite accessible on LinkedIn if someone wants to have that conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So moving on, in terms from fundraising, let's talk about your admiration for Jordan Brompton from My Energy. I saw an article on Silicon Republic recently where you look like this is someone you've been following and someone that inspired you. So how do you find her?
Yeah, so Jordan Brompton, for a bit of context, is the co-founder of My Energy, which are a massive energy powerhouse operating out of the UK. You might have known their Zappy chargers, Libby chargers. They have at-home EV chargers that are completely solar powered, and they also have a completely solar powered energy system and a new app available where you can control your heat pumps and be able to see how much green energy you're supplying to your home, and also be able to adjust where this energy goes and when. So it's like a really fascinating system, and I think Jordan is such an inspiration for me. Obviously as a female in this space, to be able to have another female role model to look up to who's much further ahead in their journey and very, very successful at what she does. I think she's amazing, and it's a huge inspiration as well. And she recently just did a podcast. I think if you just look up Jordan Brompton on YouTube, you'll find it. And to hear her story from where she started doing lots of different jobs, from being a DJ to having her own company before that, to then taking off My Energy to where it is today. It's so inspiring. So yeah, I'm a big fan. And she actually followed our page on GoPlugable Instagram the other night, and I did fangirl quite a lot. I was like, at my phone. So yeah, we're getting closer to maybe speaking with her someday, which would be amazing. But yeah, I'm a big fan.
Super. Yeah, I think two CEOs also in same space. I'm sure you might end up working together with them at some point. Anyway, let's again, folks, if you just listened in, if you have questions for me, leave them on comments and we'll take them here on live. Let's get something bit more interesting here, right? Now I have a section here where I found these comments online, and I'm sure you've seen them as well. These are mostly on your articles where people are commenting publicly about it. I'm just going to show you a couple of them, and I want you to read them out and probably even reply to them, or let us know what you think. So let's start with this one.
Yeah, so we did a lot of different PR activities, and of course when they get blasted across LinkedIn, we get great feedback, a lot of questions, brilliant. When they're blasted across Twitter and Facebook, it sometimes opens the floodgates to some pretty interesting feedback and perspectives, which we are all ears for. Any feedback is good feedback for us, but to get stuck in, Adrian, first up, it's a great idea. It could be expensive if your home charger causes damage to third-party EV or they slip on your icy drive in winter. Yeah, Adrian, it's going back to that point about liability insurance, which is one of our main sort of targets to hit in the new year. So hopefully we can get an insurance package for our host to be able to protect for that. But hopefully we won't have any of these issues going forward, and people use their common sense. So thank you for your lovely comment. Yeah, this one's my favorite. I think in the startup world, you need to kind of have thick skin, especially when it goes to the media and PR. But yeah, I think it's interesting to read them for sure. So this one's from Andy. Living in cloud cuckoo land, all that education and not that smart. Ouch. The average citizen cannot afford a new ICE vehicle, let alone an electric one. Thank you, Andy. That's a very interesting insight. I'm not sure what my degree says for, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting perspective. I mean, I know that electric vehicles are expensive, and again, I'm looking forward to the secondary market that's emerging at the minute. But thank you.
Full disclosure, that isn't me. Yeah?
And then sometimes we get comments that are maybe not so constructive. So yeah, thank you to Kieran and Michael for your comments. Yeah. Here we have one from Andrew. The legal implications would worry me, such as damage to property when people would arrive, etc. Insurance cannot knock our idea, as infrastructure here is woeful, but too many pitfalls to consider. I think with every startup, you obviously sit down and consider the risks versus the rewards. And every startup has a risk to some extent, whether it be, the competitiveness within that sector, whether it be more legal implications like the ones here. All we can do is use the support network around us and try our hardest to make sure that we are going to tackle these issues as much as we can to give peace of mind to the market that we're operating in. And effectively become a leader in that space by putting the community first. So it's a great point raised by Andrew. And then next, the electric cars and hybrid are dangerous. So comments like Phillips come up quite a lot in some of our media across different social media platforms. I think there's been a lot of fear mongering about the EV market. Perfect example is the recent Luton fire that was initially blamed on an EV setting alight, which didn't happen to be fully true. There's this idea, sometimes it seems like the media portrays that when you step foot inside an EV that it's just going to go alight, which again, there are plenty of EV drivers across the UK and Ireland that attest to it being a fabulous experience. We speak with hundreds of them every month. And they absolutely love it. So, okay, so this one's quite a longer thread. Let me just remind myself. Not a Bob's hope in hell that will work. Imagine someone screaming in your face because they rolled in with 5% and your charger doesn't connect. Or complaining it's too expensive, or they roll over your cable. They've thought about a lot of things here. Unless you want to be there to plug in the car and unplug when they're leaving, I wouldn't bother. Okay, so Keith's raised a few different issues that could happen throughout the platform. Just on that point, with someone rolling in with 5%, our solution with GoPlugable is more of a base charging solution. So it's not really suited towards someone who's on their final few miles and they just need an extra boost before they can get back on the road and get home. This is like a pre-scheduled base charging solution. So whilst you can book with a neighbour overnight or while you're at work, so that you don't have to do that on the go and have that range anxiety. So it's a slightly different issue that we're tackling, but we hope that people won't scream in anyone's face using our platform. Keith or Ivik has replied, if it's rural person have a shotgun, I wouldn't be the one challenging them. Yeah, it's an interesting speculation going on. So yeah, these comments can be quite entertaining, so we thought it would be some festive fun to show some of them. Imagine the knocks on the door to use the toilet or whatever that is. I don't expect that happening. I know platforms like Just Park have used a similar business model for sharing their car parking area in their driveway. So it'd be interesting to ask their users how many times they've knocked on their neighbours' doors to use their toilet. But yeah, interesting point. So here's a comment, not a chance in hell. If it is for a friend or a guest or even for a neighbour's guest, then maybe. That is actually a really good point. So if you're a host on our platform, you are free to offer it out to as many or as little people as you want. So in the description of each host, you can give some information on you saying that I only want neighbours to request using my charger. I don't want total strangers. Or vice versa. If you're someone that's open to everyone and anyone, you can put that in the description as well. So it's up to you. Here's a comment from JP. Well, the Irish begrudging mindset alive and well in this comment section. And many of these comments we've previewed already, and some other ones that we haven't shown were there as well. And yeah, I think that's a bit of it too. I think it's just a very new idea, and I think maybe it is a bit of a mindset thing here locally that new ideas and new ways of looking at things are often quite strange, and sometimes people can be skeptical, which is 100% valid. And it's our job as a company to try and reassure people in that. And then, yeah, the irony, be realistic, it will never work, to be fair. So yeah, I think there is a begrudging mindset live and well that we're hoping to break down as we go on. But yeah, some very interesting stuff there.
Okay, I guess that's the end of section in terms of all the comments
All the torture is over. Can
we
sleep at
found
night.
online. There were more interesting stuff, but yeah, I don't think we have time to go through all of that. We have more questions coming in for me there from audience folks. If you've just joined, like I said, if you have questions, leave them on comment sections, and we're happy to take them here. All right, one question I have, probably this is the last from me, and we'll go to the audience question there. So, one of the things, one of the biggest wins, I think, probably in terms of the competitions and grants that we've had is Invent. This is the Catalyst program. So, GoPlugable was the category winner and then the overall winner. You walked away with 25,000 quid. That is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Let's play that video of you winning that. In fact, I was just looking at this video and wondering about your reaction. You need to. I have questions on that. Let's play that video anyway.
The overall winner for Invent 2023 is GoPlugable.
It's been fantastic. We were amongst some really.
All right, let that play in the background. So winning 25,000 quid, winning Invent overall. I mean, this is like the epic prize for Northern Ireland startups, right? I mean, you're everywhere after that.
Felt like it.
Yeah, is that something I would say? Would you put that as one of the greatest personal achievements?
I think in terms of GoPlugable, it was a great achievement because again the visibility was huge and it was a very glossy event with so many people in attendance. I think it was around 500, 600. So like being up on that stage and giving the 60-second pitch was like really, really daunting. So I think it was a good experience to train myself speaking in front of a larger crowd. But yeah, it was amazing. And I think the competition was so strong. And I met so many, great people going through the process and Invent. And all the finalists were all incredible. And I'm, so grateful to have met them and learnt their stories and stayed in touch with them as well going forward and catching up with what they're doing. But yeah, I had no idea I was going to win. But there was a lot riding on that win because we had pretty ambitious plans for going forward. We wanted to launch the app. We wanted to start fundraising. So there was a lot riding on it, and it was a relief that we did bag the win in the end. So we're very grateful.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we have a few more questions, and we've come towards almost the end of today's session. We have another 10 minutes more. All right, so question-wise, Eugene here is asking around how to give feedback on the app. So I'm guessing all the folks who have downloaded the beta, they get a feedback link as an email in coming days.
Yeah, so that will be one way. Other way, if you have quick feedback to let us know, you can email us directly. We have on goplugable.com is our website. You can also private message me on LinkedIn as well. Wherever you can find us, just get in touch because we just want to make it as easy as possible for people to pass on their feedback because it is so important. There's no point in us sitting in an echo chamber and thinking our app's brilliant when people are actually finding it difficult. And I think a lot of the user experience part is so important to see it through fresh eyes and get fresh perspectives. So either through our website or a feedback form that will be coming out in coming days, or directly on LinkedIn is perfect.
All right, next question from David here.
Yeah.
It's around implications on commercial and residential electricity rates. What do you have to comment on that?
Yeah, so it's a little bit tricky, that one. So first of all, there's a few logistical differences between Northern Ireland and Ireland in terms of where the law sits on even income is one thing I'll mention here. So if you're generating income through the platform, it's completely up to you as the host to declare that income as you should. We take no responsibility in doing that, like many marketplace platforms that you can earn money from. But you will not be, a commercial entity just because you're renting out your driveway. You're making some side money that is, not on par with what it would be a salary, for example. And just on that, we've did some very early estimates in what someone can earn through our platform. So, if you're someone who's renting out their charger maybe twice a week in a rural area, you might make around £1,000 a year. Of course, that differs depending on what rates people use and so on, and if they have parking fees. But as a urban homeowner with a home charger, you can earn a bit more than that. But it would be really interesting to see how it plays out now that we're live and be able to give more accurate figures on that and share that information with everyone.
Also, to add to that, I think what David was probably also was referring to was, like, in both regions, especially in Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, there are specific rules on as long as you are doing this for charging EVs, you are fine. You wouldn't convert to a commercial rate. Anyway, next and the last question that we have here, folks, we have 5 more minutes and we are winding up very soon. So if you have any questions, leave them on comments there. I think the last question we have here from Pierre, which we didn't answer, I'm just going to put that here. So, highlight of the past year and what was your biggest challenge that you overcame?
Yeah, so highlight over the past year. I don't think there's one single highlight. Like, there's been so many different wins and wins that you would laugh at if you were like, oh my gosh, that's so insignificant. Like, even just getting the app out there was like such a massive win. Even though you're just sitting in your room on a Tuesday afternoon going, oh, it's out. It feels very strange. And then there are wins that are so much more exciting, like, speaking to the FIA, for example, and also, getting the discussions around really, really interesting potential partners that have been going on behind the scenes as well, that hopefully we can share more on in the new year if they come to fruition. So they're like the big highlights. And the biggest challenge, I would say, when you're a startup, you have to like try and wear all the hats and do all the roles, especially when you're bootstrapped, you have a lean team, you have to try and be able to push forward and learn so much so quickly. And that for me is something that I enjoy doing, but it also can be pretty difficult. And I think at that point it's best to lean on your community and the support out there. If there's something you don't know, there will be someone out there between Catalyst, Techstart, Invest NI, SU Enterprise, all these different players that can help you on your journey.
Yeah, I think we should also give a shout out to the good folks at New Frontiers, which we've been part of as well. We've been part of both phase 1 and phase 2. Also our mentor, Maebh.
Another Maebh, our mentor, she has been fabulous. The New Frontiers program, I would say, has been very detailed compared to the other ones we've been in. They're smaller cohorts, so the advice and the support you get is very bespoke to each business. And you have more interactions where it's one-on-one with an expert in the field. And I really like the close-knit vibe of having other startups that you get to hear firsthand their journeys and keep up to date with them as well. So that was a great program.
Nice. So I think we are almost done here. No more questions from the audience. I think we have
a question from Mark, perhaps. I remember before the
yes,
live.
We do. Yeah, we skipped that here. Let me go back to that.
Back to these.
Yeah, just one last question we had already captured from Twitter here, and that's from Mark. You want to take that?
Yeah, so Mark says it's probably the obvious question, but when will it go live? This is the day before, or probably the day of, that we actually did go live, funnily enough. And will you share user stats like registered users, number of charges, kilowatt hours shared, etc.? So we are live. It's not our perfect product at the minute that is live. We are a startup. We're not going to get it perfect the first time round. We're not a huge corporation that are going to make a perfectly polished product. We're very much in this sort of pilot stage at the minute, so that's why we're relying so heavily on our waitlist community and our beta testers. So in terms of sharing user stats, we would love to at the end of next year, maybe when we do a town hall at the end of 2024, be able to share how many people have used our platform, how many charges have taken place, and how many kilowatt hours have been shared. These are all really essential analytics that we would love to provide to the community and really show the impact that we're making and the development over time as we launch. So thank you for your question, Mark.
All right. On an ending note, folks, again, thanks a million for being part of this. I mean, it's 1 hour invested, more than, I think, towards the end. Not sure the entire number, but we had around 40 participants by the looks of it. So thanks for tuning in. Special thanks for all the beta testers for getting us feedback. If you've just downloaded, you can leave feedback via chat, email, and we'll be sending out a link just to capture that officially as well in coming days. Any Christmas message for everyone listening in?
I feel like Santa Claus in red now. No, I just hope everyone has a lovely, relaxing Christmas. I think there's a lot of startup founders here in the comments, and I
Imagine a world where electric vehicles are accessible to everyone. With GoPlugable, we're turning that vision into reality. For countless people living in apartments and terraced houses or rented accommodation, home charging remains a challenge. But how can we make the switch when so many of us can't charge at home? Meet Russell. He faced the same dilemma. With GoPlugable, Russell found his charging solution. He can now easily find and book a charger near him. And it's not just Russell who benefits. Meet Lara, a GoPlugable host who shares her home charger. She earns money while helping her community make the sustainable switch. Most home charge points, like Lara's, are only used twice or thrice a week, making it a win-win for everyone involved. GoPlugable is more than an app. It's a community that helps each other, helps the planet, and ensures everyone wakes up to a fully charged vehicle. The GoPlugable is making charging accessible for everyone, everywhere. Whether you're a host like Lara or a chargee like Russell, you can find what you need, book slots, and even chat with your community members. GoPlugable is on a mission to build the world's largest EV charging network and help people switch to electric. Are you ready to be part of this community-powered EV charging network? Download the GoPlugable app today, available on both iOS and Android.